All right, welcome in. Compacted week, condensed schedule. So let's get right to it. This is the 49ers defense against Daniel Jones and the New York Giants offense. A preview of this matchup on that side of the ball and a teaser for what's coming a little bit later tonight. I know I have to pack in a lot into this week. We're going to break down some Brock Purdy game tape against the Rams, probably around 8 o'clock Pacific, so fairly soon. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. You want to be here live for that. But right now, we're going to talk about the opposite side of the football. Daniel Jones, the very mobile Daniel Jones in the New York Giants offense against the 49ers defense. There's one thing that I think everybody needs to keep in mind, and that is the New York Giants' only possible ticket to victory. And to me, it is the zone read. Daniel Jones can run. He has the second highest scramble rate of any NFL quarterback this year, behind only Lamar Jackson. He's not afraid to forego sliding. He could cut. I mean, he's a skilled runner. He's a good athlete. And if he somehow is able to give the New York Giants big-time production on the ground, that can change a lot of the way that this game is flowing in the pregame predictions, and that's 49ers by about 10 points in the point spread. So this is the Giants' ticket. It is the zone read, but there are going to be several problems for the New York Giants as they attempt to reach the promised land against the 49ers on Thursday. That's tomorrow night at Levi's Stadium. They can try to go through the zone read route. They can try to get as much production as they can out on the ground to neutralize the 49ers pass rush, but they don't have Saquon Barkley, and they don't have Andrew Thomas, who's their starting left tackle. So there's already a massive, massive landmine that the New York Giants must somehow avoid, because Saquon Barkley is their do-everything weapon on offense. Zone read becomes a whole lot tougher if he's not a counterbalance threat. It's going to be Matt Breida instead for the New York Giants, the former 49ers running back. So Breida working with Daniel Jones on that zone read. We'll see if the 49ers can stay disciplined on the edges. That starts with the defensive ends, continues with the linebackers. If they do, well, I don't know how else New York is able to move the football on the 49ers, because there's a massive problem point on the right side of the Giants' offensive line. Against the Cowboys in week one, it was a complete disaster. It doesn't look exactly the same, in large part because of how bad week one was. But the Giants lost 40-0 to the Cowboys. They gave up 39 pressures and 7 sacks to Micah Parsons and company. So what did they do? Well, they benched their right guard, Mark Glowinski, and they moved him to left guard. He was benched at first, but then left guard had an injury, so they had to sub Glowinski back in there. Now, Glowinski had taken all of his training camp reps at left guard, and he had to play right guard in the season opener. Gave up 9 pressures. It was a huge problem. There was another huge problem for the New York Giants with Evan Neal at right tackle, right next to Glowinski. So Neal gave up, I think, 8 pressures against the Cowboys. Glowinski gave up 9. It was terrible. 39 total pressures with the whole line. You say that the left side might be a strength. Well, Andrew Thomas is the left tackle, and he's out of this football game for the Giants. So left to right, this line sucks. It's not a good offensive line. And I don't know how you expect to establish good zone read against the really powerful defensive line with a terrible offensive line, but that's what the Giants are going to have to do. That's probably why they are 10-point underdogs in this game. Again, behold these numbers: 39 pressures and 7 sacks allowed. On top of that, Daniel Jones, the quarterback, is not a quick release guy. So you look at the Rams last week, they're able to stave off the 49ers despite giving up quite a bit of pressure, 27 pressures. They're able to stave off that pressure for most of the game with a quick release attack from a quarterback who specializes in quick releases in Matthew Stafford. He was 2.6 seconds snap to release. That's a good average time last week. Well, Daniel Jones averages over 3 seconds from snap to release. And that's not as much of a knock on Daniel Jones' game as it is a description of his style of play. He loves to run the football. He likes to let things develop a little bit longer. So the 3-second snap to release indicates that he's not as precise and not as specialized in the short game as somebody like Matthew Stafford, somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo, somebody like Brock Purdy. And that slower developing game, well, all of a sudden this comes into play. All the pressures given up, all the sacks given up by the New York Giants. So the 49ers need to earn their right to rush the passer. That means stopping the run. That means stopping the zone read. If it gets to the point where the New York Giants can pass the football, well, a big time matchup problem is their tight end, Darren Waller, the former Raider, 6'6", 245 pounds. I don't think there's anybody that could cover this guy one-on-one in a fair fight. But that's okay because the 49ers, if they choke off the running lanes, they choke off the zone read, and they have a massive advantage over the New York offensive line, the need to cover Darren Waller will be nowhere near as pronounced. Those are the main points. That right side of the offensive line, definitely something to watch. It is going to be reshuffled because of injuries, because of the benching of Mark Glowinski in week 1. He's not going to be the right guard anymore. But you look, left to right, Andrew Thomas is hurt. Joshua Ezeudu was the backup left tackle in Arizona. The Giants came back and won that game against a bad Cardinals team on Sunday. Committed a bunch of penalties. I wasn't all too impressed with him. It was still a better effort than most of the Giants offensive linemen put on tape against the Cowboys. That one was really, really bad. Ben Bredesen is the left guard unless Mark Glowinski has to play for him again. Bredesen got hurt last week against Arizona. Glowinski, backup left guard, started the season at right guard, first string, but it was so bad against the Cowboys that they benched Glowinski, and now he can come off the bench on the left side. But boy, he might be better on the left because he's practiced there. It is still a problem for the New York Giants. John Michael Schmitz, second-year man, is the center. The right guard might be their best offensive lineman, fifth-year player Marcus McKeithen, and then the right tackle is Evan Neal. And the only reason that I say that Marcus McKeithen might be the best player that will play in this game on the offensive line is because he had a decent game against Arizona. So big-time problem point, though, is the entire offensive line, and maybe I should just amend that because the right side has been a problem. They've shuffled a couple things up, and now they have an injury on the left side of the offensive line to the left tackle, Andrew Thomas. That makes things very troublesome. And I think that the 49ers are worth their salt as a dominant defense. They're going to dominate the New York Giants. If the Cowboys did it and the 49ers are in an arms race and in a message race with the Dallas Cowboys, well, they need to do it too against the Giants. As far as covering Waller, win on the pass rush front. Make sure you don't let Daniel Jones establish himself as a zone read quarterback that's successful with his feet in this game. You do all that stuff, you keep Darren Waller out of play action. So it's about stopping Matt Breida. It's about stopping Daniel Jones. It's about taking advantage of a problematic offensive line. And I think by the end of this one, you'll see Nick Bosa rack up some stats. You'll see Javon Hargrave rack up some stats. And hey, maybe they won't be sacks. Maybe they will get rid of the football, but you'll see the pressures roll in this game. You'll see some of the tackles come in from the linebackers. The 49ers asked to blitz a lot last week. I don't think it will be all that necessary to blitz as much as they did in the second half. It was a 5% blitz rate against the Rams in the first half, up to a 30% rate in the second half because they needed to get to Matthew Stafford. But if Daniel Jones isn't as precise with the short game, 49ers may be able to get away with more coverage play. They do need to be tighter on the back end in coverage than they were in the first half against the Rams. I think there was a feeling out process. We thought there might be a feeling out process with Steve Wilkes. Well, he figured it out at halftime, and we'll see if the 49ers keep on figuring it out moving forward. So I think it's a simple matchup. 49ers defense against the New York Giants offense led by Daniel Jones. You stop the run, and then you can go have some fun. And the run is going to come in the form of the zone read with Daniel Jones because there will be no Saquon Barkley in this game. If you don't stop the run and Daniel Jones starts pushing first downs on you, well, that's when Darren Waller, those guys come into play. That's when the 49ers pass rush won't have as much fun. That's when an upset is possible. But Vegas thinks that won't happen. Vegas thinks that the former will happen, and the 49ers are 10-point favorites. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Brock Purdy film breakdown coming up probably in about 30 minutes. So I want you all to tune in for that. We will talk to you very, very soon. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when I come on live with the Brock Purdy update. We'll talk about some of the deeper passes, some of the misses, and some of the makes for Brock Purdy against the Rams and in preparation of this Thursday night game against the Giants. All right, like and sub, hit the alarm bell. We'll see you soon.